I'm not a huge fan of the Hataka paint. It's okay. Its fundamental strength is the accuracy of the colors. We're going to get to that in a minute. I'm showing you stirring this because you got to be aware of the fact that this paint takes a lot of stirring. All paint, all acrylic paint takes a lot of stirring. Shaking is just a pitiful symbolic gesture. Shaking is never going to get you there. You got to stir it. You got to get it out there in this wide mouth jar and stir. I've stirred this 3 times already. This is the 4th time I've stirred this today. Now, what have I been doing in all that stirring? Well, I stir it, then I get my brush out, and then I start experimenting with it because I'm not that familiar with this paint. And I've been putting it on these handy-dandy little checkerboard testers, whatever they are, and just seeing how it acts and what I can expect when the when we really get into the real deal. Yep, there we go. Now, what kind of brush am I going to use? Well, I've got a couple of these Revell #1 camel hair brushes. I like them all right, but I've also got this somewhat heavier duty camel hair brush. I think it's more like a #2. I have no idea where this came from. This came from the, I don't know, Blue Tiger paint brush factory, Bangladesh or something. I mean, look at that. I think I paid 50 cents for that, maybe. Came in a bag of brushes. You can see the handle, the paint on the handle simply came off. And that didn't happen slowly. That came off right away. Great brush. So, I do believe I'm going to start with the Bangladeshi brush because this is one of my favorites. It's #2 is about the right size. The #1 is okay, but the #2 is about the right size. So we'll see. All right, let's get to the object of my affection. This God loved Eduard Spitfire. You can probably see that I took those ailerons. I broke them off and re-glued them. I just snapped them off and then did about a half an hour to an hour's worth of carving and sanding and got them back in there. This kit has required more fitting, testing, trimming, sanding, and carving than any old Airfix kit I've ever built. Now, it's going to turn out looking better than an old Airfix kit, kinda. But the amount of work that's gone into the assembly is totally insane. All right. I don't know what their thought was on this aileron business, but Eduard has some questions to answer during the congressional inquiry. Oh, well. All right, let's move on to more complaining about Eduard, because that's really my hobby. I pretend to build models, but what I like to do is complain about these guys. Here's this beautiful, beautiful instruction manual with this color 4-way drawing of this beautiful, beautiful color scheme. Looks great. I'm going to go with this. Even though the Airfix kit has a different pattern for the same aircraft, I'm going to go with Eduard's version. I'm going to say these guys got it right. But how do I know that? I don't know that. I have absolutely no idea. Well, it would be nice to go to this beautiful, elaborate, multi-page document that Eduard put out with their kit, which is so great. Beautiful instruction manual. I'd like to go to that and see what the references are and see where they got their info. Ha! There's no footnotes, no references, they didn't cite anything. Nothing. That's the problem with the plastic model kit world. It's got one foot in grown-up land because we're all grown-ups. We're you know, look, we're a bunch of dudes well past 55 years of age usually. And Eduard is selling us products, but they've got one foot in grown-up land, and the other foot's firmly planted in kindergarten. So I don't know. I don't know if they, what would it hurt for them to tell you where they got that information? Is there a photograph? Is it guesswork? What? No idea. I can't imagine why they leave this out. I just can't. Anyway, enough of that. Here's the picture. I'm going to be trying to reproduce this on this model. Now, when I started this channel, I actually believed at one time that this business that I was doing, painting these plastic model kits, was an absolute cinch. I thought anybody could do it if they were drunk, if they were blind, if they were dead. Any human being could do this, no problem. And then I began to realize over time that that's absolutely not true. It's rather complex, and I just didn't realize it. And I think that's there's probably a name for that. There's probably some dude in New York that wrote a book, a bestseller, all about that. But I just don't know. So here's what I'm going to do. I've already made a video in which I gave the basics of painting. We can see this big old jar of paint, and I'm just sticking this paintbrush down in there. I don't have a wet palette, I don't have a dry palette, I don't have any kind of palette. I'm taking the paint directly out of this jar. Bam. I'm going to put it on the surface of the model. And I kind of put a lot of paint on the brush, as you can see. But at this point, we get into a question of, well, but tell me, how are you going to take this pattern and put it on this model with this brush without masking or drawing, with pencil or something? How are you going to do that? Well, I'm just going to wing it. I eyeball this stuff. And I'm going to give you some pointers on how I eyeball things. The first thing I'm going to do is get this wing here. Let's put this over here. I'm going to put this wing here, and we're going to put that wing there. And when you put those two together, you can clearly see that out here on the end of the wing is dark earth. Now I can hear somewhere in my mind's ear somebody saying, notice how I'm just touching that. I'm not trying to make some sort of statement about physical strength. Just touching that. I can hear somebody saying, why don't you just get a big old moppy brush and just, mop it, bro. Why are you doing this way? Why are you actually painting this pattern? Because you're going to have to paint this pattern again when you do the middle stone. And my answer to that question is, yeah, that is exactly right. That is exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to paint this twice. Oh, wait. No, I'm going to put on 3 coats. So I'm going to paint this pattern 6 times. Now, I had an online discussion with somebody once upon a time where they didn't understand that, and I tried to explain it to them. I spent maybe years of my life trying to explain to them why I did it this way. And they simply said, well, I don't want to do it. It's wrong. My methods are for brushing. Everything you probably learned about painting up until now has been about spraying. Everything's about spraying. It's all spraying. Spray mentality. Forget all that. Now, I may be the mad painter. But I can tell you with some assurance that I am not, under any circumstances, going to suddenly say, oh my God, they're right. I, sh- I should have painted it. I should have just painted everything brown and then put the yellow on. Or better yet, put the yellow on, the middle stone. I should have just put the middle stone on and then, no. We're going to paint this pattern over and over and over again. And the primary reason, is because I want to get that pattern right. And there's a certain amount of this that involves, I guess, what I'd call instinct. Now, what I'm doing is I'm looking for these major landmarks, like this cannon here. I think we're just going to do this one wing. You'll see this looks awful at this point. You can see that. Hopefully, though, our Hataka paint will not let us down here. Now, up to a point, until it starts drying up pretty good, which it's going to do rather quickly. Up to a point, you can brush it out. It's not a bad idea. Now I'm using these references, these landmarks. Cannon, this little panel down here, this little panel. I'm using these references and so on to get to exactly where I want to go. I'm using those references to allow me to kind of figure out where I want the paint to be. Now, when I come back with the middle stone, I can see this is too far over. Okay, so I'm going to cut the middle stone in there, go over the dark earth, and correct that. And then if that doesn't work or look exactly right, I'll go back and correct that. Okay, it's starting to look okay as it dries. This particular paint, this color, looks to me a little bit pale. It looks like it looks almost like it was adjusted for scale effect. You can see as this is drying, that it's smoothing out pretty well. There are going to be some irregularities, and I'm holding this in the light with this light off to the side so you can see it. I want to show you how much in terms of brush strokes we're going to have here. And these brush strokes are basically going to still be there, even though many of them are going to go away. The main thing to take away from this is that what we're going to end up with is something that's going to be taken away by the final coat. The flat coat will hide a multitude of sins. Again, okay, leading and trailing edges need to be addressed. And you want to use the side of the brush. No, I got a lot of paint in there. You want to use the side of the brush to do the edges. And as you're going along right now, this is awkward. I mean, man, this is awkward. It's going to take me a while to get used to painting in that on camera. A little bit of brushing out will definitely help. You can see that there are fewer The brush mark situation is much better with this area here. But this isn't bad. These are not bad at all. Okay, I'm going to put that down there. And we're going to briefly wrap this up. I'm painting the pattern 6 times. Once in dark earth, once in middle stone, dark earth again, middle stone again, and then maybe dark earth again and middle stone again. If 2 coats is enough, I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to paint that pattern over and over again until I get it right. I can do corrections. I can do little flourishes, this or that, whatever needs to be done. I can do those during subsequent takes. Every time I put the paint on, that's a separate take. Every time I do that, I can correct things. I can move this a little bit over. But right now, because this paint is drying, and it's drying really fast, that's why I put the golden retarder in there. I put about 1 milliliter of retarder in it. That didn't really help that much. Because it's drying so fast, you don't want to touch it now with a brush. You don't want to try that. You put it on there. You can manipulate it. You can spread it around with the brush while it's wet. But then, when it starts to dry, leave it alone or you'll tear it. Then let it dry. Once you've let it dry, you can go back and give it another coat. But it should dry for a while. This is a time-consuming process. This is not something that's going to happen immediately. But then again, if you got your head straight, you got yourself quieted down and centered, that's not a big deal. Okay, I think I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to shut down now. And I'm going to tell you, once again, if you're watching this on the TV, which all of us old people love to do, you're sitting in the recliner watching on TV, on Roku, you want to find that remote and click on the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, because I need some more subscribers. And between now and the next time I see you, I should be able to finish putting a coat of this, as well as the midstone, and we'll be able to see what that looks like, and we'll see how things are shaping up. Then I'll show you how I modify things. And we'll also admire my work on these ailerons. They look, oh man, look at that. Look at that. The amount of sanding, carving, unbelievable. I would have been better off if I just started with a piece of plastic and carved my own ailerons. All right then. See you next time.